this is Devilishly Hungry, formerly known as La Delicia de Linda, and today I want to make a video that I would have never imagined that I would make, but due to popular requests, mainly by Jessica Zhang, I am going to do a double eyelid tape tutorial. Now, Jessica Zhang recently found my videos that I thought nobody would ever watch, particularly of me doing a Kate Beckinsale inspired eye makeup look for Asian eyes. I believe I put a disclaimer that I'm not a makeup artist, and I still concur, I'm not a makeup artist. I don't think my skills are on that level as so many other beauty gurus on YouTube, but nonetheless, I wanted to make a video especially for Jessica Zhang. So Jessica Zhang, this is for you. I hope you enjoy it. It's a very in-depth double eyelid tutorial. I mean, so in-depth that I believe it's probably gonna be over 30 minutes long. So if you are watching this video, be sure to check out all the timestamps because I am segmenting this entire tutorial into 4 segments or 4 parts. And in those 4 parts, as you will see soon, are separated by timestamps. So if you don't want to watch the whole video and you just want to go skip to, say, like the tutorial, the demonstration that I do on my own eyes, you can skip right to that segment. So segment number 3 is my double eyelid demo on my own eyes. And then there's other segments, as you'll see later on, that provide a foundation to this tutorial. So I highly recommend that you watch the whole thing through if you can, just because I laid down some foundation, some basic anatomy of the difference between Caucasian eyes and Asian eyes, and I also dispel a lot of myths about Asian eyes as well. This is like a little short blurb that's probably not important, but a lot of people have said that like my eyes aren't Asian eyes, and I just really wanted to dispel that myth of what is an Asian eye. There's just this prevalent stereotype that Asian eyes only have one type. That is not true. We come in a variety of shapes and sizes, various eyelid forms and things like that. And you'll see that is true with all ethnicity groups. You know, Caucasian, African American, Asian, we all have a variety of combination of different eyelids. And so this video is not just for Asians, although it is geared and focused more towards the Asian eye. I believe this entire tutorial applies to all races because all races, all ethnicities, all backgrounds may have the problem that I have. And I don't know if you can tell right now, but I have double eyelid tape on, but you can still see it. And in the end of the day, it's just makeup. You know, it wipes off, it comes off. You don't have to do double eyelid tape. You don't have to follow my tutorial. I believe, and you probably have heard this a million times from other beauty gurus, I believe you should be comfortable with your own skin. And makeup is not a form to change your features. There's no way makeup can change your features. It just kind of gives you a lift to make you seem more bright-eyed, more awake kind of thing. It's meant to enhance and act as an art form. And with double eyelid tape, I know it's like really jarring and shocking for a lot of people who are not used to seeing how much of a transformation eyelid tape can do and just the use of eyelid tape. But I assure you that I'm very happy with my own eyes. I always said since birth that my eyes was my best quality, so I don't have any insecurity with my eyes. My reason for wearing double eyelid tape is to prevent eyeshadow transfer. I have tapered eyelids, so when I apply eyeshadow, a lot of what I apply on my lid here, on my inner lid here, gets transferred to the top here. And then you end up getting like this raccoon eye. But I understand there are people who say have a monolid where they will never have that problem of eyeshadow transfer, but they still want to create double eyelids because for, I don't know, whatever reasons that you feel comfortable with saying or maybe not saying. And again, as I said before, in the end of the day, it's just makeup. It's an art form. There's so many reasons people wear makeup. I just want to say, you know, love yourself for who you are, accept your own body because you only have one life, you only have one body, so you might as well love it for what you have. And eventually you'll find traits and qualities that you really, really love. enough jibber jabbering. Let's go to the tutorial and you'll see the breakdown. Okay, so to better demonstrate where to put the eyelid tape and the eyelid glue, I'm going to give a few examples of different eye shapes. After this clip, I'm going to show you actual pictures of celebrities or pictures that I found online of people with various eyelid shapes, eye shapes, brow bone shapes, and things like that, that kind of map out the overall look of someone's eye. And this is really important because as a clarification thing, people have this idea that Asian eyes are smaller, but in fact, if you measure them, they can be the same size or even bigger than, or even smaller than Caucasian eyes. What makes a Caucasian eye different from an Asian eye is that a Caucasian eye has, this is your brow bone. So a Caucasian eye has a protruding brow bone. And an Asian eye has a flat brow bone. So nothing here. Has a flat brow bone. There could be a lot of fat on the brow bone area, but it's typically, in terms of bone structure, there is no dimension around this area. Because the Caucasian eye tends to have a protruding brow bone, that creates something called the orbital rim. Now everyone has an orbital rim, but for Asians, they may have a hard time finding the orbital rim. So a lot of times these eyelid tape kits that you get will have like a fork looking thing that you poke around your eye looking for your orbital rim. This is important for eyelid tape placement. So again, there are various reasons why people would want to wear eyelid tape. One reason that's very common is the uneven eyelids. This is a problem with people of all age range, races, ethnicities, different variety of backgrounds. So maybe, let's say for an example, you were born with, let's just pretend this is a hooded lid, okay? So let's say you were born with one hooded lid and one parallel lid. A parallel lid just basically means that it's open on the inner corner and the outer corner. So your eyelid, double eyelid line looks almost exactly parallel and it's open on either end. That's a parallel eyelid. Now a hooded eyelid, there's various ways a hooded eyelid can be formed. Some people with age, the skin that covers their brow bone starts sagging and it creates a hooded eyelid. Some people don't have a sagging skin, but nonetheless, the fold that they have is folded deep under near the lash line, and that creates the illusion of a hooded eyelid. Now for the hooded eyelid, what you want to do is ignore the good eye and just match it, the good eye, by taking eyelid tape and placing it right here in the middle. So where your pupil is, go do an imaginary line and the highest point between the brow bone and where you want to put the desired line or create the desired double eyelid line would be here. So that would be the highest point. So remember, you don't want to put the tape above, on exactly your orbital rim or over your brow bone, because that's just not gonna work. So a lot of eyelid tapes comes in half moon shapes. So in a half moon shape eyelid tape, you would just place it like this. So where the black colored line is, that's where you would put the eyelid tape. There are eyelid tapes that come in little squares like this. If you make your own eyelid tape, you can cut a piece of Scotch tape, fabric tape, etc. into a tiny square. And sometimes it can work with hooded eyelids, sometimes it can't. But again, you would just place the square directly in the middle. And then the highest point of that eyelid tape is where you want the crease to form. That's where your eyelid tape placement would be. Okay, now the second type of eyelid that I see a lot is the classic almond-shaped hooded eye. So this is the stereotypical Asian eye, where there's just so much fat in these areas that there's literally no fold whatsoever. In that sense, you kind of have a lot of play area. I don't know if play area makes sense, but you literally have a flat canvas. So instead of eyelid tape, I actually would suggest that you do eye contouring. So making a cut crease eyeshadow. You have a flat space here with no dimension, right? So you can literally just draw on a crease, do a little bit of contouring, you know, mimicking shadows and lights, and you got a pretty convincing double eyelid. Now, I understand that not everyone is an artist or have an artistic sense and may feel intimidated with doing a cut crease. In that case, same applies with a hooded eyelid. You would put the double eyelid tape evenly. So this is the eyelid tape, right? You would just put it evenly where you would want the crease to be. So the rounded outer edges here of the eyelid tape would form the double eyelid line on your hooded eyelid. So you just place the double eyelid tape however you'd want on your eyelid, however you want the line to be, and that's all you have to do. Now, the second type of eyelid, which is my kind of eyelid, is like this. Oops, I guess this is a dirt type, right? This is a dirt example. So my eyelid, as you'll see later, is a tapered eyelid. And it's tapered because on the outer corner here, the outer corner is open, the inner corner is tapered, or basically the skin is sagging over where the eyelid should be, the eyelid line should be. So there are many reasons and causes for tapered eyelid. Some people, you know, through aging, their skin just sags over on the inner corner. Other people, like me, doesn't have the sagging skin problem per se, but the support of the double eyelid, it's all over on this area. So you just end up getting a really obvious double eyelid on the outer corner with a non-existent hidden eyelid here. So hidden eyelid is another common term in the Asian community. Hidden eyelid. So what is a hidden eyelid? A hidden eyelid is exactly like a hooded eyelid. It's where what's different from the hidden eyelid and the hooded eyelid is that hooded eyelid is more common with Caucasians because you still have the brow bone to make kind of dimension around the eye. The hidden eyelid looks like a monolid, but it's not a monolid. If you poke around at the skin near your lash line, you'll see there's a fold that just kind of tucks underneath. Kind of like this is a really bad analogy, but kind of like a belly crease fat. You know how there's like the little corner where you can kind of stick your hand in, you can kind of stick something in underneath. I know that sounds bad, but that's what a hidden eyelid is. Hidden eyelids have the same problem as the monolid. However, if you draw a cut crease on a hidden eyelid, it looks obviously fake, because then you'll get like a triple crease where you have a crease here and a crease here, and it's like, what are you trying to do? Drawing eyelids. So in that case, what you want to do is close your eyes. So this is your eyes closed. Close your eyes, find your orbital rim. Your orbital rim might be somewhere here, and this is exactly where you want to put the eyelid placement. So there. Make sure that the tucked in skin that's creating the hooded eyelid is flat, otherwise you might have funky creases when you put your eyelid tape over that. I hope I'm making some sense. Okay, I just realized that I didn't explain where you would put the eyelid tape on my kind of eyelid. So on a tapered eyelid, you want to push the tension away from the outer corner towards the inner corner. Now, some people have said that you can just place the eyelid tape here, and then somehow the skin where you want the fold will be held up on the inner corner, and then hopefully you will have parallel eyelids. That's not true. As you'll see with my eye, if I put the eyelid tape here, that doesn't really do much. I'm not sure why exactly. What I like to do is flip the eyelid tape. Yes, flip the eyelid tape. So most eyelid tapes comes in half moon shapes. I want to flip it so that it's in upside down half moon shape. What this does is when you close your eyes, okay, another kind of eyelid that, okay, ignore this here, it's just, so another type of eyelid that some people might want to use eyelid tape to correct, which I think is a very gorgeous looking eye and doesn't need correction, but I understand that some people have different preferences for the look that they want to achieve. So I think this is a very gorgeous eyelid shape where your skin sags here, so you got a closed eyelid, open inner corner. So my aunt has this kind of eyelid. So this can happen again with aging, or you could be born with eyelid space like this, where it's open in the inner corner and not in the outer corner. I personally would leave this alone, but if you like parallel lids, what you'd want to do is put the, okay, I don't know if you can see that. Put the eyelid tape here on the outer corner. The outer corner will lift the sagging skin, and then you'll get parallel. You'll get parallel eyelids. So put it on the outer corner where it's sagging. And again, same rules apply as with the hidden eyelid, where you want to close your eyes and make sure that your eyelid is completely flat, so that when you open your eyes, the skin can kind of stay up where the tape is placed. Okay, let's start with the obvious. This is an Asian eye that is a true monolid. Now, a lot of Asian people think they have a monolid eye, but they really don't. They have what's considered a hidden double eyelid. Let me show you in the next picture. So ignoring the Shutterstock watermark, this is an example of a hidden eyelid. Actually, I would say this is less of a hidden eyelid and kind of just a very barely there discrete double eyelid. I couldn't find an image for true hidden double eyelids. Okay, I take this back. So in this image, you can see a true hidden double eyelid. So a true hidden double eyelid looks like a monolid, but you can see there's a fold near the lash line. It's just sort of tucked right underneath. I wish I had an arrow, but it's just tucked right underneath where the lash line is. So if you have a true hidden double eyelid or a monolid, as in this example, your best friend is going to be the cut crease eyeshadow tutorial, and I'm going to show you here. This is an example of a really great makeup artist on YouTube. Her name is Das, D-A-S. Now, Das has monolids, and you can't tell from this image, but she has a true monolid, and she just did a cut crease tutorial, Lady Gaga inspired look. So the next image I'm going to show you is a true before and after image of Das, D-A-S, the fabulous makeup artist who did that cut crease tutorial. So clearly you can see that if you have the artistry skills to create a cut crease on your flat mono eyelids, you can give the illusion of a double eyelid or even a very contoured crease look. Now I understand on the other hand, not everybody is blessed with artistry skills. So for those people who would like to try double eyelid tape, I would highly suggest the thicker or wider version of eyelid tape they can find at Asian beauty stores or on eBay. You can also create your own eyelid tape out of Scotch tape or micropore paper tape. Basically, you want eyelid tape that resembles this image here, which looks like a half moon shape. Remember to get the wide set kind because the thin kind that you see here, this very thin version, will not work on very fatty eyelids. So that's another component that I want to mention. Look at your eyelid. Is it puffy? Is it hollow? If it's puffy, you need the thick, wide set half moon shape eyelid tape. Now, if your eyelid skin area is actually rather hollow, but still monolid, then the thin type that you see here will work for you. Okay, so I want this tutorial to cover all ethnicities and various eye types. So I think Brandy is a very great example of really nice looking almond-shaped parallel eyelid. I bring up Brandy because she has the type of eyes that looked like a monolid, but in fact she has a double eyelid. So in this image you can see it looks like she has a monolid. But as we saw in the previous image, she definitely has a double eyelid. It's just that her eyes are beautifully elongated and shaped like a cat's eye, so it gives an illusion of a monolid. Now, with her type of eyes, she probably doesn't need any double eyelid correction using eyelid tape. You know what? In fact, I don't even think she would need double eyelid tape. Like, if I were her makeup artist, I'd be like, your eyelids are perfect. But I want to bring up Brandy's example because she has very beautiful parallel double eyelids, but because of the shape of her eyes and the structure of her brow bone and everything, you can see that it's really hard to find her orbital rim. So she's the perfect example of somebody who is missing a distinct orbital rim area, even though she has double eyelids. And I wanted to bring this up because there are people who have this kind of eye look that they may think they need double eyelid tape, but they really don't. All they just really need to do is some contouring makeup to really show their double eyelid and to show the hollowness of their eyes. Okay, so the next eyelid that I want to show is an asymmetrical eyelid. So as we've talked about before, an asymmetrical eyelid would be an uneven eyelid on one side and a normal eyelid on the other side. So for this person here, all she would need to do is correct her right eye, which is the one that's drooping. So only one eyelid tape is necessary for an asymmetrical uneven eyelid. She could, if she feels like, put another eyelid tape on the normal eye, but that is absolutely unnecessary. The only reason I would see for putting eyelid tapes on both eyes for an asymmetrical eye would be if your eyelid tape is really noticeable and you don't want your friends to notice that you have one eyelid tape on one eye and nothing on the other. So here is the beautiful Lauren Bacall. If you haven't seen her movies like Dark Passage or To Have or To Have Not, I highly recommend you watch her films with Bogart. Random tangent. But I bring her up because she has the most beautiful, I don't even know what to call these kind of eyes. They're open on the inner corner, but then they kind of droop down on the outer corner, as you can see. And this is more common with age, but it can happen with people who are very young. As you can see, Audrey Hepburn has this type of eye, and it creates this beautiful kind of doe eye, puppy eye look. So I guess these are called downturn eyes, but in Asia, downturn eyes are really popular. They're called puppy eyes. Nonetheless, I still understand that there are people who want to change their eye shape. So if you want a lift on the outer corner of the eye, all you would have to do is really get like a tiny piece of eyelid tape and place it on the outer corner. For people with downturn eyes, I don't recommend the full length or wide length eyelid tape because that can irritate the inner sensitive corner of your eye, which you don't need to lift anyways. You just need to lift the outer corner. Okay, so the next eyes I want to go over is the severely hooded Caucasian eyelids. I'm not going to go too much in depth with these type of eyes because the same rules apply with the first example that I brought about hidden double eyelids and Asian hooded eyes. All you just need to do is get the wide set or the half moon shaped double eyelid tape and place it wherever you want the crease to be and make sure they align from inner end to outer end, but not too much to the inner end because, again, the inner corner of your eyes are very sensitive. Remember, you want to lift the hooded lid up, so what you want to do is close your eyes when you apply the double eyelid tape and make sure that the very hooded part of your eyelid fold is flat when you're applying the eyelid tape. Then when you open your eyes, make sure the hooded skin is actually lifted up by the eyelid tape. I just want to mention that this tutorial only covers double eyelid tape placement, and this tutorial does not cover the makeup application of creating the illusion of a double eyelid for mono eyes, but monolids can draw in a cut crease. So I just wanted to mention that because I don't think my makeup skills is good enough to create a tutorial, and I wanted to point out that there is a really great and famous YouTube makeup artist named Daz. So if you have monolids or if you have a lot of flat space and you want to learn how to do a cut crease, go check out Daz's channel. Daz does a lot of cut crease tutorials for Asian eyes and just eyes in general. So that's the channel that I'm going to recommend for you monolids who have like a complete flat surface that you can work with makeup. Okay, so here's a close-up of my eyes. Please ignore the whitehead here. My skin is being reactive today. Other than that, I just wanted to show you guys how to apply double eyelid tape on my kind of eyes. And so as you saw in my previous demonstration with the drawings, I have the tapered eyelid. So as you can see, I got this outer corner here that's a distinct eyelid, and in this inner corner it just tapers down to, it looks like a monolid, but it's not a true monolid, because if I use this double eyelid torture looking device thing that I mentioned again when I was drawing the diagrams, so this is the little fork thing that I was talking about previously, to find your orbital rim. A lot of Asians use double eyelids to find their orbital rim for, let's say, like contouring their eyeshadow, or just for finding where they want to place a double eyelid. I find this isn't always the best way to determine where to put the double eyelid tape. So please refer to the other diagram with the various eye shapes and eye forms to get a better idea of where to put the double eyelid placement. Okay, normally in the kit you would poke your eye around and you'd be like, okay, this is where I want to put my eyelid tape. But as you can see, whenever I push back over here, it almost looks like the tapered end wants to roll back in. So again, just a correction from my previous diagram explanation. When I said rolls, I really meant fold. Sorry, my brain was just not operating, but I meant fold. So for Asian people and some Caucasian people, their fold is just a skin fold. So as you can see, this is a skin fold. If I put this fork thing underneath the fold, you could see where the loose skin is hanging. In young people like me, it's not loose skin, it's just a fold that kind of sags down. Okay, so for my tapered eyelids, I have two preferred eyelid choices here. So I have this standard sticker eyelid tape thing. You can use Scotch tape and cut them in half moon shapes like this. This is considered in between a medium and wide fold. Some eyelid tapes are thinner where they're like this thin here. But this is a double-sided eyelid tape. So you'll see single-sided eyelid tape that looks like this shape. This shape, or even thinner, sometimes you'll find thinner, more rounded shaped ones, are better for people who already have a double eyelid fold. So some Asian people have, and more common with Caucasian people, they already have a fold like up here, a parallel fold. The problem is that some people's folds are not deep set. So people with an existing parallel fold but not deep set would want to use a thinner shaped eyelid tape and just place it where their existing eyelid line already is. So they don't really have to really do a lot of guesswork because they already know where their double eyelid is. But for me, I want to do either a parallel fold or the previous fold that I was telling you about where it hangs here but lifts up here. That kind of fold is really hard to do for me. So I'm just going to do the parallel fold. So I'm going to take this. And this is a single-sided one that has a mesh design. I like this because it's more transparent than Scotch tape. So for this, let me get my mirror. I want to put it diagonally. So one technique that I would do is place this diagonally. And when I mean diagonally, I mean lower on where there's a very distinct fold, and then higher where I want to push up the fold. Right now it looks kind of funny, so I would have to redo it again, but the concept is still the same. If you want to lift the inner corner, you have to do either a diagonal, or with the double-sided eyelid tape, you want to flip the eyelid tape. This is the right side up. This only works for people who don't have the tapered eyelids. This works better for people with the sagging outer corner or like a hidden double eyelid. But for my kind of eyelid, I would need to flip this upside down, place it on the side like that. Similar idea with the diagonal here. So as you can see, flip it upside down, either like this or slightly diagonal, helps give more support to the fold here. So it can be a little uncomfortable because you have this like pointed end here that pushes up on the sensitive membrane or thin skin here. But that's the only way that is gonna work if you wanna push the tapered eyelid up in the inner corner. If you do it the normal way like this, you just end up getting a more distinct tapered eyelid fold. Okay, so you really have to experiment. Everybody's eyelid is different. There's different degrees of puffiness, hollowness, and skin folds and hanging skin on every person's eye. So, you know, we're truly unique in that sense, where this is just a guideline, what I'm giving you, what works for me and from what I've seen on other people. So you'll have to keep just, you know, repasting the double eyelid tape to find the right fold that looks good to you. Some people prefer more of a hidden double eyelid for a more natural look. So this would be a more hidden double eyelid. Some people like a more distinct double eyelid where, oops, but yeah, see, I have the hooded problem. So let me just give you an example of what a distinct double eyelid, it would look like you have a hollow rather than an actual fold. That's a more distinct eyelid. Some people prefer that look because it gives you kind of like the Bambi eye look, the doe eye look. Now, another problem with double eyelid tape is that other than the obvious, when you close your eyes, you can see the tape. But another problem is that even when your eyes are open, on the outer corner, you might see the tape stick out. In this sense, you still want the longer eyelid tape size. The shorter one may not give you enough support for where you want to create your double eyelid. So you still need to keep the longer shape like this one. But instead of like putting it on your eyelid, like on the normal dome shape of your eye, you want to push it a little closer into your inner corner, and again slanted for the tapered eyelid. So slanted, as you can see on my eye here, slightly slanted towards more in here, and that should push this tape that's sticking out here further in so that your fold can kind of hide it a little. It's not perfect, but you do what you can. And if it's really, really bothering you, what you could do is eyelid glue. Apply eyelid glue here. Push the eyelid fork in and let the eyelid tape the eyelid glue get tacky, and then just glue a double eyelid fold on the outer end here, and that should hide the little tape that's sticking out. How that hides it, as you can see, the further in your fold is, the more your skin kind of rolls back, and that hides the tape a little bit. And that goes to my other concept here with the double eyelid tape here. The double-sided eyelid tape here. The double-sided eyelid tape is perfect in that, yeah, it's still unnatural. You can still see the tape, but because you're gluing both sides of your skin or to create a fold, so you're gluing like the top part of your skin and the bottom part of your skin to create skin fold. Because of that, it just looks like you got folded skin that's kind of stuck together. Some people prefer that over eyelid tape. I actually prefer eyelid tape because it's less irritating. but that's another option you can do. Hi everyone, this is Linda back again, and this is a new morning, a new day, so my eyelids have changed a little. I didn't get much sleep, so my left eye feels like it's sticking together, but that's okay. This is a perfect example of how I use the double-sided eyelid tape. On this eye here, I'm going to do the reverse upside down moon shape, and on this eye here, I'm going to do the regular shape that's often suggested on the instructions manual. And you'll see the difference in what I mean by flipping it over will provide more support on the tapered part of the double eyelid. You want to be careful and not peel off the cover because you want at least one side to be super sticky. Like that. So as you can see, there's still the wax covering, I don't know what to call it, and the other side is the sticky part. And then later, I'm gonna peel off the front side. So like that. Place. So as you can see, I place it diagonally, upside down, and this little pointy end provides support on the tapered eyelid section. Now I'm going to remove this part here. I really don't know what it's called, but I think you know what I mean. Like that. And it's already tacky, but if you lose the tackiness, you can always use double eyelid glue. And then you got this little fork thing here that you try to lift up. I know it looks creepy and torturous, but you gotta do this so that the other side of your skin sticks to the eyelid tape, and then the other tacky part of the eyelid tape sticks to your bottom lid here. And it's basically sticking two skin pieces together to create that fold. Like that. Ooh. Okay, I might have to double check in the mirror to see it's on right. Okay, it's on right, but if I really want an open eye look, I could have put the pointed end closer to here. You still want it diagonally so that you have structure down here. And then that's how you create the lifted double eyelid look. Now on this eye, I'm going to show you what I mean by applying it normally is not going to give much of an open inner corner. Same thing, I'm carefully taking out the double-sided eyelid tape. The white side protective covering is up. And now I'm not going to slant this. I'm going to put it as is instructed on the instructions manual, which is basically parallel. If I have problems, I'll redo this. I might have placed the eyelid tape too far up. So as you can see with normal placement, there's like this triple fold going on here because the inner corner is trying to force itself back into a tapered eyelid. Now I didn't properly apply this correctly, so I'm going to redo this again and then show you what I mean by the dramatic difference between reversing the eyelid tape and placing it normally. So you can already see it happening. So I had to apply eyelid glue because the inner corner already flattened out and now it just looks like my normal eyelid. So remember, the right eye is the one where you apply the double eyelid as instructed. The left eye is if you reverse the eyelid tape. So let me show you. Right now my skin is glued together. But so I fixed the double eyelid tape so that it's closer to the inner corner. Before it was a little too far out and this was a little too far up. You want the outer end to be a little bit down and then the inner end to be a little bit up. diagonally reversed like I was mentioning before. And an eyelid glue. So now you can see where the tape is, how I applied it. And there we have it. My technique for applying double-sided eyelid tape. Reverse moon, regular, as instruction directions. Can you see the difference? This is tapered, this is not tapered. And I have no makeup or anything, so this is just how it looks like with just the double eyelid tape.